Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this tutorial, we're going to continue with our introduction to SQL series. So in this tutorial, we're going to be going ahead and covering how to work with SQL joins. Okay, so I want this to be a project-based learning. So we want to solve a task, and upon trying to solve the task, we'll learn the different technologies we need to, or the different concepts that we need to apply in order to solve the task. Okay, so throughout this course, we'll be solving issues like we'll be giving different tasks, and to solve the task, I'll use those explanations to explain to you what are the different types of join in SQL. Okay. So you might have noticed my video quality has improved a bit because I have moved from my Windows computer into my Linux computer that has a better screen. Okay, so I just did the first few videos on the Windows machine because I want you guys to be familiar with, because most of you guys notice you have Windows, right? So yeah, so once you are, again, everything else is going to be the same. I'm just going to be informing you that I have changed operating system, but basically everything else should be the same. Okay, so let's jump into it. So for example, let's say you're working in the company, or you have your own task that you want to do, or you have access to a given database that does some certain records, right? And let's, in this case, we have our database we're working with is a classical model database, and someone asks you to generate a report like this, or you personally want to generate a report like this. We have the customer number, the customer name, the phone number of the customer, the credit limit, and also the total pay of the customer. So generate a customer payments table similar to this. Okay, so one thing you might have noticed is, okay, the payment information is coming from the payments table, right? And the customer information will be coming from the customer table. So these are two different tables. So you need two different tables in order to generate this report. We need the customer table. We are going to get the customer name, the customer phone, and all that customer information. We also need the payment table. We are going to get the payment information from. Okay. So these are two different tables that we need. So you can actually go into a database and just check this out. So let me just go into my database. So you can see I have the database right here, and I'm going to go into my customer table and just view, and you can see we have the customer name and all that information right here, right? The customer name, which is this right here, and you can see this is the name that we have in this table right here, right? The first name right here. Okay, and yeah, that's basically it. So we have the customer name, we also have the payment information. These are two different tables. Okay, so how are we able to connect these two different tables in order to generate our final report that you're interested in, which is this report right here? So to do this, okay, now the first thing, we've identified which tables that has the column that you're interested in. Good, the payments table and the customer table. So by pulling information from the customer table and the payments table, we'll be able to generate a report like this, right? Good. So that's the first the first thing that you need to know, which tables you need the information from. So how are we able to join these two tables, to pull different columns from these two tables and merge them in order to generate this? And that's where the whole point of SQL joins come in. Sometimes you have information from different tables, and you want to pull information from these two different tables and use it to generate a report, or use it to run your queries, right? And that's where the point of joins comes in. So in MySQL, there are mainly 5 types of join. There's the inner join, the left join, the right join, the full join, and the cross join. So if you've ever worked with joins in MySQL, you might be, okay, like full join doesn't really exist. Yeah, it doesn't really exist directly, but you can use a way around it, and we'll cover all of that. Okay, so don't worry. So let's jump into the different types of joins. Okay, so let's start with the inner join. So inner join matches records from both the left and the right table, right? That's basically the right. I made an error, right? That's the right table. Okay, the right, like the right hand. Okay, right table. On what conditions are we merging the rows, right? We want to merge two different rows from the tables. So on what condition are we merging the rows? You have to basically tell the SQL server on which condition do you want to merge the rows, or which condition you want to join the rows by. So for example, what you simply do is inner join is simply returns records that are matching from both tables, right? We have the right table and the left table, so it returns the records that are common in both tables. So how do you find a common ground between those both tables? And that's why you need to find a column that is common between both tables. In this case, a column that is common between the left table and the right table. So if I go back to my SQL workbench, so you can see right here I have the customer number instead of the payment to show which customer made the payment, and in here I also have the customer number. So you can see this is a common row between the payments table and the customer table, right? These are the these are the column that is common between the two. So using that column, you can specify to join data to join the two tables based on the column. So it will match the data based on those two columns, right? It will match, let's say for example, I go here, it will merge 1 or 3 records in the customer table to 1 or 3 records in the payments table. That's basically it, and that's what inner join is. Okay. So this is the default join in MySQL. So if you just say join, by default you're referring to an inner join. Okay, so we have looked at what an inner join is, and you have, in the case of a customer, we have the customer table and the payments table, and what's common between them is the customer number. Good. So once you have that figured out, now let's go ahead and see how we can write an inner join in SQL. Okay, so I'm just going to go in right here. I'm just going to go ahead and say select everything from the let's select everything from the customer table. So I'm just going to say select. Okay, select star, and let me just say star. Okay, this is going to be from the customers table, so customers, just like that. So if I run this query, this should return all the records from the customer table, and you can see we have it right here. Okay, so once we have that record generated, now I want to also go ahead and select everything. I want to also go ahead and join this with the records from the payments table. So I'm going to simply go ahead and say just the semicolon, and I'm going to go ahead and simply say join, and I'm going to join with the payments table. So payments. Okay, so you have to specify on which column to join. So we have discussed that the column that is common between the two tables is a customer number column. So we're going to join on the customer number column. Okay, so I'm going to simply say you can give it alias names if you want to. So you can say let me just say customers dot customer number, right? So it's gonna be customer number, right? You're going to equals to payments dot customer number. So payments dot customer number. So it's going to join on those two. So if I just let me just zoom out a bit so you guys can see this clearly. So selecting everything from the customer table, and you're joining with the records from the payments table on the condition that the payments the customer number is equals the payment dot customer number. So if I run this query, now it should return to us a merge of those two tables. So you can see now our table has all the information from both tables. So you can see the customer table, which is also the customer table, and also have the payments table. So you can see the payments table starts from here, and everything going from this column downward is from the customer table, but everything from here going upwards is going rightwards is from the payments table. So you have seen we have joined those two records based on the customer number. So you can see 103 is common between the two. So you join 103 customer number to this record right here, right? And you can see all the 103 have been joined with 103 from the both tables. So that's basically how an inner join works. Okay, so good. So once we have this, you can see that this we have to write the name of the tables all again, and this is long. So sometimes you might want to give it an alias name. So you can say you're going to name it as C, and here I'm going to say as let's say P, right? So instead of saying customer, you're just going to replace. Let me change this to lower C. So I'm going to replace here with lower C, and I'm going to change this to be P. That's basically because now P is for payments and C is for customer. So if I run the query again, we should get back the same result. So good. So once we have this done, let's say that I want to select a specific certain columns from this, because I don't want to select all the columns. You can see that's quite pretty big table, right? So, and you can see we have the customer information being redundant, right? The customer number being redundant. We don't want that, so we want to select only a specific column. So we can go ahead and simply go ahead and say C dot, which is referring for the customers table, dot one the customer number. So customer number, right? And C dot customer name, right? And this is all from this record. If you see the original question, we are selecting these columns that you're interested in. Okay, so after that, you also want the I can also pull the phone number, the credit, and all that. So let me just go ahead and just pass in some details. Right, I'm going to say city c dot credit credit limit, and this credit limit is from the customer table. So if you look closely, you can find the credit limit. I think it's right here. There's a credit limit from the customers table. I also want to select the p dot amount, which is from the payments table. So amount from the payments table. So if you look at the payments table right here, you can see the amount column. You're selecting that column, and I also want to go ahead and say p dot let me say payment date, like the date in which the payment was made. I can say p dot check number, the check that was used to make that payment. So if I run that query now, if I zoom up a little bit and just minimize this right here. Okay, so if I run the query again, now it should work. So if I run the query, we have an error right here. It says unknown column amount, and this is a spelling. I made a spelling error right here. So once I have that fixed, now that should probably work. So let's highlight all that and run the code. Now you can see we have the information and with the columns that we want. So you can see the check number, the date to the payment was made, the customer who made the payments, the name of the customer, the city in which the customer live from. You can select basically any column from the customer column, from the customers table, as much as you want. So that's basically how we can join two tables together. So that's an inner join. An inner join joins basically on columns that are common between the two tables, in this case the customer number, right? And you have it specified right here. So good. So that's the first type of join. Let's go ahead and look at the next type of join, which is the left join. So the left join returns all the records from the left table, which is this table right here, the left table. So let me just explain to you which part. So the first table that you specify right here, this is going to be our left table, and this is our right table. So left table, right table. So that's basically it. So it's going to return all the records from the left table and matching records from the right table. Okay, so it's going to return everything basically from the left table, and it's going to match the columns that have matching. It's going to return them as well as the columns that do not have matching. So the columns that do not have matching, their values will be null. That's basically what left table is. Matching is done based on columns that are common between the two tables, and we have discussed that already. So once you have looked at it, let's go ahead and write a query for the left join, and let's see how we can write that query. Okay, so basically we can go ahead and delete all of this again and write a query if you want again. I don't know what you guys prefer, but that's basically, we can just delete all of this and write the query basically all over again. Okay, or we can just write it down here and then we can copy what we want. So we're going to say select. I'm going to select everything from the, it's going to be from the customers table. And yeah, that's it. And which again, just go ahead and simply join it on. I'm going to say join, and I'm going to go ahead and join it on the payments table. Let's specify on which column you want to join on. Let's say customer. So let's just give it an alias name right away, so you don't have to waste a lot of time typing all that. So it's going to be C, and this is going to be as P, right? So we're going to say C dot customer number. It should be equals to P dot customer number, just like that. So great, that's what all we have to do. So once I go ahead, I have this query, I can run the query one more time, and you can see it returns to me information like the way we saw in the previous part, right? So basically it turns to be this is an inner join. So to find a left join, you have to simply say left. It's like this, and if you say left, now that's a left join. So if you run this, it's going to return to you a left join. So one thing you can notice about left join and right join is that some of the columns are going to have null values from the right table, right? Because it's going to return all the columns from the left and also the ones from the right that have matching, right? Okay, so one thing you can see that we have this done. So that's basically a left table, and I told you that in SQL inner joins are by default. So if you want, you can just say inner join as well, and that will also work. Okay, but if you just say join, it's going to return to the right join. So that's all about left join. So sorry, inner join. So sorry for that, diverting back into inner joins. So that's basically how you can specify a left join. So let's go ahead and select the columns that you want, and I'm going to simply copy this list of columns and replace it here, and fix that indentation. So yeah, that's basically it for the join. So you can zoom out a bit. Yeah, I think that's it, and I can just go ahead and simply run this query again, run the query, and once I run it again, we didn't get any errors, and you can get back all the records that we have in here. So good. So you can see all those records right there. So you can see it turns everything from the right table, and from the left table we have some columns missing. You can see the payment amount. The amount is from the payments table. The payment date is from the payments table. The checks from the payment is also from the payments table. So everything from the credit limit going leftwards is from the customer table. And you can see we don't have any null values in those cases, but you can see some cases we have null values that are from the amount. These are the values that are missing within the right table, right? So it turns all the records from the left column, and it's matching values from the right column. So sometimes you might have missing values from the right column, right? So that's basically how right join basically works. So if I go back in here, you can see we have the right join, and sorry, the left join, and that's basically how the left join works. Okay, good. So yeah, that's another type of join that we have in SQL. So we have looked at inner join, we have looked at left join, and let's look at another type of join, which is called the right join. So you may probably guess, if you have left join, then you probably have right join as well. So that's basically how we can work with left join. So we also have the right join, as I mentioned earlier on. So what's simply right join? So right join returns all records from the right table and matching records from the left table. Matching is done based on columns that are common between the two tables. Okay, so that's basically for right join. So that's right join. And so let's go and actually practice to write some queries to make sure everything works. So okay, so let's go ahead and write some queries. Okay, so once we are here, just the same thing again. I'm just going to say select. I'm going to say, let me just get the spelling right. So select, and I'm going to select everything from the left table, which is going to be our customer table, right? So from the customers table. So if I run that, just get all the records from the customer table. And then we can simply go ahead and join this, or you can simply say join. You're going to join on the payments table with the payments. Okay, and you're going to specify the on condition, and the on condition is going to be, let's give it an alias name again. So another way to give it an alias name, just simply by typing in here C. That is also another way of giving an alias name, so P as well. So you can just go here C dot customer customer number, right? So you can see you can get auto suggestion, so P dot customer number again, so you get that right. So if you run the query again, it's going to merge those two by running an inner join. So now we want a right join, so it's going to go ahead and type in right join. So good. So we can see we have right joins right here. So if you run the query, it's going to return all the records from the right table, and matching records from the left table. So that's basically how right join works works in MySQL. Okay, so everything works as we expect it to. So that's basically left join, again right join, and you can select the columns that you're interested in. So you can select the columns and just simply paste them in here, and it's going to return to you only the columns that you specified. So if I run the query again, run this again, and you can see you get back all the information that you want. So every value should be from the left table. The only time you get null might be from the right table, because it's going to return all the records from the left table. So you can see we have that right here. Okay, so you can pull this up and you can observe the query. So that's all about right tables, right join. So let's go ahead and look at another type of join, which is called the full join. Okay, so basically what a full join is that we have a look at the left join and right join. So a full join basically combines the two. So you have the left join and the right join, combining the two with a union operation. So if you've done it like a set theory, you probably know what union is, right? So union of two sets returns both information from both sets, right? So that's basically it without duplicates. That's a union. So it just return the union of the left and the right. It's going to return to us a full join. So that's basically how you can perform a full join in MySQL. So just go here, you can see we have the left join and this is the right join. So I can just go in here and simply say union this. So if I just say union, I can just go ahead and remove this right here. And so if I run the code again, so make sure you select also the right join, and then union, and then the right join. So if you run that query, that should return to us what we call a full join. So you can see the full join information right here. So full join just returns to us records from both from the left join and from the right join, and you get a full join by using the union keyword. So yeah, that's basically it. Again, it's more from set theory. So if you did set theory, you probably know what I'm talking about right here. Okay, so we have looked at the different types of join, and we have looked at the left join, the right join, the full join, and also we have the, and let's go back and see, we have the cross join. So the cross join basically returns records from both the left and the right table. It's also known as a Cartesian join. So it's performing basically a Cartesian product, right? Taking all the rows from the one of the tables in the first table to all the rows in the second table. That's basically it matches records from the right table to all the records in the left table. Okay, so that's basically how cross join works. Yeah, so to understand how cross join basically works, I have a database created right here. So I have a database called CarsDB, and if you go into CarsDB, if you look at the tables, we have cars, which is basically returns to us a list of cars. So we have Toyota Vitz, we have Hyundai, we have Toyota Land Cruiser, and you also specify the names of the car prices. Okay, these are just some random values that I use, and also have the table, the color table, and returns to us the different colors. So if you order a Toyota, let's say a Toyota Vitz, it is 100, and if you order a Toyota Vitz of a specific color, the color also affects how much the total price of the car will be. So that's an assumption. So let's say that the car causes 100, the Toyota Vitz, and if you combine with it a red color, right, it gives you 110, which is 10 plus the original price of the car, which was 100. So that's basically it. So how Toyota Vitz can have all the colors from this colors table. A Toyota Vitz can be a red. We have an orange Toyota Vitz. You can have a blue Toyota Vitz. Also for the Toyota Hyundai, we also have Hyundai can be of the different colors that we offer, right? So how are we able to create a table that simply returns to us all the different variations of Toyota along with how much it will cost? Okay, so like when I mean variations of the Toyota Vitz, I mean the color of the Toyota Vitz and how much it costs. So basically, we want to multiply this, combine this row right here with every other row within the color table, because a Toyota Vitz can be of any of these colors, right? and from there we also want to find the prices. Basically we take this price plus the original price of the car. So that's basically how a cross join comes in. So if you are familiar with set, you perform something known as a Cartesian product, and that's combine one row from this table with every other row from the other table. So let's go ahead and write a simple query to generate a Cartesian, please. So to go here, what I can simply go ahead and do is write a simple query to generate that. So I'm going to simply say select. This is going to be a join query. So I'm going to say select. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to select everything from this is going to be car underscore db, right? Car db, which is the name of the database. Again, I have the file to this database. You can just find it in the description of the video. Just simply download the file and then simply go into server and then go to import and then simply say self-contained file and then select the file that you have and simply just hit on start import, and that's going to import the database into your MySQL workbench. Okay, so once you have it imported, let me just go back here. This is where we are. So I'm selecting everything from cardb.cars because in here we have a table called car. Okay, so it's called car, not cars. So you're just going to go ahead and run the query again. So if you run the query, it's going to return me, okay, I got an error, unknown database this. Okay, so let me make this the default database for now. So I'm going to set as a default schema, so that one you can set as a default schema. So once I have that set as a default schema, I can delete this and simply run this query again, and that should return to me a list of all the cars. Right now I want to go ahead and perform a Cartesian product with the color column. I want to combine every row, like every car that you have, with all the possible colors that you offer. So I'm going to simply say cross join. So cross join with what we want to cross join with the color table. So color table. So yeah, that's basically what I want to do. So I want to go select this query again and simply run this query. So let's run here, run it, and you can see we get back this information right here. So this query gives us this information that we want. So you can see Toyota Vitz, we have Toyota Land Cruiser red, we also have Toyota Land Cruiser again, orange, Toyota Land Cruiser blue, which are the three different variations of color that we offer, and you can see the different prices right here. Okay, so let's say that I want to combine the car price. I want to add the car price with its corresponding color. Okay, so before we do that, let's go ahead and just select the columns that you want. So you can just say as we can call this as C. Okay, and this one you can call it as and I can say as color, just like that, or let's say call. Okay, so I'm going to simply say it's going to perform a cross join here. So once I have this done, I can simply go ahead and specify the columns that I want. Okay, so I'm going to say C dot I want the ID. I want to perform car. I want to get the car C dot car name. I also want to get C dot car price, right? So the price of the car. Yeah, and I also want to go ahead and get what else can I get? Yeah, that's basically. And I also want to get the color. So I'm going to say color. It's called dot. I can get the name, the price of the color. Dot call dot color name. Let's first get the color name, and then I can also go ahead and get the price of the color. So I'm going to say color dot color price, right? So good. So once I have this done, let me just go ahead and run this query one more time. So run the query. Okay, we got an error. This unknown column color price. Okay, let me just check if I got the name right here. So if I go to color, it's called color price, right? Let me just make sure okay, it's color price. So why did I go wrong? So let me see color. Okay, this is actually call, right? So we call the table call. So I'm going to go ahead and run that query one more time, and you can see we have the information right there. Okay, good. So let me just put the car price next to the color price. Okay, so it's much more detailed. So put it right here, and yeah, so that's basically it, and I can delete the extra column. I don't need that. So that's basically the query. This is how the query looks like. So let me just make this a bit smaller, and this is how the whole query looks like. So just go ahead and run that one more time, so you can see we have the color price, and also the car price. We want to combine these two to form a calculated column, and you've already learned about calculated columns. So I'm going to simply go ahead and simply say I'm going to take the call dot color price plus the C dot, which is the car dot color car price, right? So it's car price, so that we can call this as total underscore cost. Okay, so that's basically it. So you're going to generate the total cost. So I'm going to select this right here and run this query. So now you can see we have the total cost generated. So we have the Toyota Land Cruiser, which original price is 500, and the color which is red costs 10, right? So 10 plus 500, we get 510, right? So that's basically it. And we can order all, we can also order this to make more sense. So we can go ahead and simply say order by we can go ahead and order by the car name, right? So we can, this car is called C, so we just say c.car name, and then we run the query one more time. So select all that query and simply run it again. So once we run it again, here we can see we have the information right here. So good. So you can see the Hyundai Civic red, Hyundai Civic orange, this one Hyundai Civic blue. So you can see it's done for as a Cartesian product by multiplying every row in the first column, combining every row in the first column with all the possible rows from the second first, by combining all the rows, like each row in the first table with all the other possible rows in the second table. And that's basically what a Cartesian cross join does, basically a Cartesian product, right? So good, that's basically how we cross join it works in SQL. I hope you guys have a good understanding now of what cross join is. So good. So again, if you're looking for the name of the database that we use, again, you can find all of that in the description of this video. Okay, so we have looked at cross join. So sometimes, in some cases, we might have multiple, we might have columns that are common in both tables, and not just one column being common in both tables. We can have multiple columns that are common in both tables. So this as a case, I really don't. I'm just going to go ahead and give you a simple example. So you can see this query right here. We are performing a right join based on customer name and customer number from the customer table, and customer number from the payments table. And also, let's assume that you have a customer ID, like, okay, so let's say the ID is a common field, so you can also join them like this. And you can have more others, just say end, and then you add them. And if you have 10 columns, you can go ahead and add, just say end, and then add all those columns as needed. So we also have the let's say we also have the using keyword. So using keyword is an alternative to on. For example, performing a, let's say we have a right join, right? You can see we are using the on, right? Join on something, right? And we also have the using keyword, which can be used an alternative to on. So the using keyword is used whenever the table names are common between, the column names are which are common between the two tables have the same name within the two different tables. So let me just go back and show you right here. So let me look at the customer table we have. It's called customer number, and if I go into the payments, is also called customer number, and this is common between the two. Some databases you might have the same data being stored but has different column names. So here might be called customer number, but in payments table might be called customer ID, but basically it's the same information. So in such a case where you have common names used between the two tables, then you can use the using keyword. So let me just go ahead and let me find, okay, I have this join right here. So let me just select this right join, and I'm going to bring it down here and just give it a bit of space. Okay, or you can delete the other queries if you want. Okay, let me just give it a bit of space and paste it right here. So it is a right join, and you can see the customer number is common column between the two, and also has the same name between the two. So in these cases, it's a perfect scenario. You can use the using keyword. So you can say using, and then simply say this. Okay, and then you can just go ahead and delete this. So I'll put this right here, and that's a semicolon, and this is not going to be C anymore. We just pass in the name of the column, and the name of the column is the column that is common between the two tables and has the same name between the two tables. Okay, in the two tables. So if I run the query again, we should get back the same output. So it has the same okay, because I have to set this back to be the default scheme. So I'll set this back to the default scheme, and then simply run this query one more time, and you can see we still get back the right join by using the using keyword. So the using keyword is used when the column is common between the two tables and has the same name, right? If it's same name between the two tables, basically that's when you use the using keyword. So I hope now you have a clear understanding when to use the using keyword. Okay, so now we have looked at the different types of joins. So let's maybe you have been thinking about how do we generate this table. So how do we generate this payment report from the knowledge that you have learned? So we learned how to join two tables using different joining types of joins. So let's go ahead and you apply what you have learned into generating this solution right here. So to do this, what I'm going to go ahead and do, let's just go into MySQL workbench right here, and you can go ahead and delete all this if you want. So let me just delete all this. Okay, yeah, I can just delete all this. Let me just see, should we keep any of them, or let me just delete all of them and rewrite it from scratch. Okay, so I'm just zooming this a bit, and I'm going to go ahead and say let's make this uppercase. So I'm going to select everything from the customer table. So I'm going to select everything from the customers table, and I'm going to join this with the payments table, because those are the two tables that have the information that we want. So you can just say using, because we have columns that are combined between the two. So using, they're going to go ahead and specify using, so it is customer underscore customer number, right? That's a column that is combined between the two and has the same name. So if you run this again, it's going to perform an inner join. So if you run the query, you can see you have an inner join performed right here. Okay, so now let me just go back in here. Let's see the columns that we need, right? So we want the customer name, number, the customer name, and the phone. So let's go ahead and specify those columns. So we can get the customer phone from the customer table. So let's just give it this an alias. We're going to say as C, and this is going to give it an alias as P, right? And you can also just remove this as and just leave the P. It will also work. Okay, the as keyword as customer as P, payment as P, let's payment as a P, customer as C, right? So we have that done. So once you have this, I'm going to say C dot let's say customer number, number, and I also want to say C dot customer name. So customer name. I also want to go ahead and say C dot phone. Yeah, it's called phone. Good. And what other columns we need? We also need the credit limit column, and that's also from the customer table. Yeah, from the customer table right here. So I want to say C dot customer. Let's say no credit limit, so credit limit right there. And what other column do we need? We also need the total payment, and the total payment, what is going to, how do we generate the total payment, right? Because the total payment is going to be a sum. First, let me just delete this. Okay, let's just run the query and let's see what we have so far. So let me just go ahead and select all this and run the query. So good, we have that information that we need. So you can see the customers right here. We have the names of the customer, the phone, and then their credit limit. So now we want to get some information from the payments table. Basically, sorry, from the payments table. Yeah, that's from the payments table. And what do you want to get? You want to get P dot amount, right? So good. So once we have this done, let me just select this and run it one more time. So you can see now we also have the payment column right here. So this customer, which is still having this name, phone number, had a credit limit of this one, paid this amount. Okay, you can also get the date, payment date. So you can also go ahead and say P dot date. It's called what, payment date. Let me just check it out. So if I go into payments, it's called payment date here. So I'm just go in here and say payment payment date. Good. So let me just move the payment date, select it, and then let me just move it upward. So cut it from here and just move it upward. It's just a matter of preference, so don't worry about why I moved it up. I just want it to be up, nothing much. So just select this and simply run the query again. So let me just zoom out. So this is a whole query, and you can see the output right here. So on this date, this customer paid this amount on this date. So you can see the first three customers as basically the same customer. So what we want to do is to group the customers basing on the customer number, and then find a sum of the payment that the customer made. So we want to find the customer and the total amount of payment that he made, right? So we want to group basing on the customer number and then find the sum of the payment that he made. So what you want is the customer 103 is his or her name, his or her phone number, his or her credit limit, and then finally the total amount that he paid throughout time, right, over time. Okay, so we don't want the payment detail because these payments are made on different dates. So if you leave that in there, to be an error in our code because the payment dates I can see are different. Okay, so let me just get rid of the payment date. So good. So now what we want to join is to group by, right? We group by the customer number, which is this right here. So when you say group by, so when you say group by, and I want to group by what do I want to group by? I want to group by the customer, C dot customer customer number right there. So I want to group by customer number, and you can also group by customer name if you want. So let me just go ahead and run this query and make sure everything is working. So run the query, we got an error right there. So let's just go ahead and look at the error, and the error is occurring because we have different, if you hover on it, you can see we run with the amount right here. P dot amount is not an aggregated column because we have different payments made by the customer. So now we want to find a sum of all those payments, right? So we're going to do, let's say, sum, and sum, we're going to return a sum of that. So sum of this, and you can give it an alias name. You can say as let's say amount, just like that. So once we have that done, let's select all this and run the query one more time. Now it works, right? We can see the first customer called Atelier Graphic has this phone number, has a credit limit of this, and has made a total payment of this so far. So good. So now we can even order this depending on to see which customer has made the most payment to our business so far. So let me just go ahead and say order by. I want to order by c dot no, I want to order by the amount that we have. This is the amount name that we have here. So you can, if you call it mt, let's say amt, so even up down you have to say amt. Okay, let me just bring this down. So I'm going to say amt, just like that. So once I have this, I can select the query and execute that again. So you can see you have the amount right here. So amount and this amount, and we order by the amount column, and you can see it's in descending order, ascending order, meaning from the lowest to the highest. Now let's order in descending order, meaning from the highest to the lowest, so descending. So we see the top customer who made the most payments on the first rows, right? So you can see right here. Yeah, so that's basically how we can generate that report. We have the customer number, which country, sorry, the customer name, their phone. You can also specify which country they come from. You just go ahead and say you can say c dot country, and that should also work. So if you enter the country in which that specific customer came from. So we seem to have an error right here. It says let me just hover. Let's just save this. You can actually save this if you want, but let me just leave it for now, and let me just run this query one more time. Okay, it works, so fine. Sometimes you just have to save it if you get this kind of errors, but for now it works. So you can see we don't have any error. So you can see now the country which the customer came from. So you can see our top most paying customer came from Spain, right? And then the US, and then Australia. Yeah, so that's basically it, how you can generate that report using join. So you have seen how you can use join to generate a report like this from different tables. Okay, so the assignment that I have for you guys is to generate a table like this. If the amount is greater than 10,000, like the total amount the customer paid over time is greater than 10,000, then you're going to say the customer is a premium customer. Else, you're going to say non-premium customer. Again, the solution to this are all in the description of the video. So that's basically what I want you to generate for me, a file like this, okay? A report like this. And you have learned about if statements, so I can give you a clue. You have to use if statement, and you look at if statements in the previous video. So if you haven't checked those out, you can check the videos out on using if statements. So that's basically we have covered so far. We have looked at the different types of join, different types of join, how you can apply to how you can use them to generate different reports from columns from different tables. Okay, so now let's talk about joining multiple tables, because right now we just joined two tables, right? We learned to have a left table and a right table when we join those two tables. In some scenarios, you are required to generate a report that requires you to get data from multiple tables. In this case, you can see we are generating a new report which is called the orders report, and we have the customer information which will be from the customer table, order date, order information will be from the order table. We also have the product information, right? It will be from the products table, or the order detail information like that. So from the orders table, order detail table. So you can see all these columns that we have. So we need to pull data from multiple tables. Okay. So in this case, you're going to be pulling data from four different tables in order to generate this report. So we have the products table, we have the order details table, we have the orders table, we have the customer table. So we need to pull different rows from all these four tables in order to generate this report. So how do we do that? Okay, so let's jump ahead and look at how we can do that in SQL. Okay, so once I'm in here, you can go ahead and delete this if you want, or you can leave it if you want. So I'm just going to select it and just get rid of it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write the select. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to say everything. I'm going to select everything from the customers table. I'm going to give it an alias. I'm going to call it C, right? And I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to join it with the orders table. So if you look back here, you need to join with the orders table. Okay, so I'm going to join with the orders table. So say join with orders table. So look at the orders table, and let's take a look at the orders table and the customer table. So what is common between these two tables? Okay, so we have the orders table, and also we have the customer table. So what's common between these two tables? Okay, so now we need to find a column that's common between the two tables. And what you can see here, we have the customer number inside of the orders table, and the customer number is also present inside of here. So the common column between the two is going to be a customer number. Okay, and this is going to be an inner join. So we're going to say, let's give it a name. Let's say as ord. Okay, you're going to say on c dot customer table customer number. Sorry, it equals to ord dot customer number. So it's going to be the customer table, right? So that's going to produce for us a join based on those two tables. Now we need to perform join based on other two tables. So that's those two, the join of the orders table and the product table is going to return to us the customer name, the customer number, right? The customer number, the customer name, the customer country, And then the order date is the order date coming from the orders table, so you can check that out. Yeah, and it's coming from the orders table, so it's going to return to us also the orders date from that table. And what about the status? Okay, does it give us status? Yeah, it also gives us the status, so we also have the status from that table. Okay, what about the product name? It doesn't give us a product name, so to get the product name you have to look within the products table. So if you look at the products table, we have the product name right here. Okay, so what's going between the two? So the two tables that you have joined right now, so you have joined the customer and the orders table, so you have to find a column that is common between those two joins that you have just made, column that is going to be common between these two joins. So if I run the code again, you have the table right here. So what column is common between this table that we get back and the products table? So that column is going to be let's take a look at it. That column is going to be let's see, let me see right here. Do you have any column that's come between the two, the product code, the product line, or the quantity in stock? No. So let's see, we have the product code. Let's look at the order details column. So let's look at the order details table rather. So if you look at the order details table, so in here you have the product code, and the product code is also going to be in here. So in the order details table, we also have the quantity ordered, the order price, and all this information. Do you have the order number? You have the order number, yes. And do you have the order number instead of the orders table? Yes. So we're going to join from this record. We have from joining these two, the customer table and the orders table, you're going to have an access to the order number. So we're going to use this order number to join with the details order details table. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going ahead and minimize this. So we're going to go ahead and join with, so we're going to say join. We're going to join with the order details. Okay, so I'm going to simply call this can give it an alias name. Say ORD, order details. We're going to join it on order. We're going to say order details. So we're going to join the order dot is called let me just look at the common table, which is called order number. So we're going to simply say order number. So order number equals to the ORD dot order number. So order number. Good. So once we have that done, it's going to now join these three tables: the customer table, the orders table that's going to return to us a unique record, and which has the customer order number, and you're going to use that to join with the orders table, order details table. So if you run this query, now we should have a bigger table right here. Okay, so now we have a bigger table with all these columns. So what columns are common between this table and so let's just take a look at what the order details return to us. For order details, we can get the order quantity and then the price of each, right? So the order quantity and then the price of each. Order quantity and the price of each. Good. So we have that information. We have the order quantity and the price of each. So we're going to use that to generate the total cost table, right? Okay, so that's basically it, what we need. So we have the two tables, the customer table, the order table, the order details table, and the products table. So did we join with the products table? So let's look at the products table right here. We didn't join with the product table, because the product table returns to us a unique information with the product name that we need in our report right here, right? The product name right here. So we need that product name, and that product name column is going to be coming from the products table. So we need to find a column that is common between what we have after joining all these three tables with information that we have from the columns from the order from the products table. So let's look at what is common between the two. So if I scroll right here, you can see you have the order information, we have the product code, and let's look within the products. Yeah, we also have the product code, which is common between the two. So you can see that information is common between the two. The product table, the product code is also within the product table. So you can use that to join the three, to join this output with the product table to get the columns that we want. So let's go ahead and write that query. Sorry, I'm just going to cancel this. I'm just going to go here and write that query. So we're going to simply say join. We're going to simply join with the products table. Give it an alias name as P, right? You can say product, so product, and you can say on the products table dot product code to be equals to the order detail. So we also to be equals the order detail. Yeah, order detail dot product code. Yeah, so good. So once we have this done, if you run the query now, we should get all the different columns. So you can see all the columns that we have right here. Good. So once we have that columns, we can go ahead and generate the aggregated column, which is going to be the total cost And the total cost is going to be the quantity multiplied by the price of each, right? So we're going to take the quantity multiplied by the price of each. So let's go ahead and do that. So to do that, we're just going to go ahead and write the query right here. Let's see which columns we need. So we need the customer number and the customer name. So we're going to say c dot customer number, and you're also going to say c dot customer name. You're also going to go ahead and simply say c dot country. Right, you can see if you have the country report in our details right here, and then you have the order, the order status. So you know, order table, so order status. And you're also going to go ahead and say the product, the order date, right? Order dot order date, right here. So you have the order date as well. Okay, and then also we are going to go ahead and get another information, which is going to be the product name, which is from the product table, product dot product name right here. And you're also going to go ahead and get the quantity, which can be the product like order details. So order details dot quantity. I'm going to get the quantity ordered right here. And also we're going to get the ORD dot price of each, right? Price of each. So good. This is going to be from the orders order details table. Okay, so once we have this done, now we can go ahead and simply run the query, and that's going to return to us only the columns that we selected. So let me just minimize this for now so that you guys can see the whole query right here. Yeah, so that's basically this whole query we have right there. Okay, so I can just go ahead and select all of this and execute the whole query, and you can see we have the columns that we want, right? So now I want to generate another column, which is going to be the last column in our table, which is going to be called total cost. It's going to be the product of this multiplied by this, right? The quantity multiplied by the price of each. So let's go ahead and generate that column. Just minimize this for now. Okay, so we're going to go down here and simply say the following. So we're going to say ORD dot order details dot price of each, right? Price of each. And you're going to multiply that with the order details dot quantity in stock. So quantity in quantity ordered, so not in stock, quantity ordered, right? And I'm going to call it let's say as total cost right there. So good, so that's all we need to do. So if I haven't made any errors here, let's just run the query again, and hopefully it works. So if I run it, yeah, it works, and you have that report generated. So that's basically how we can generate that report. So you have this customer right here. From this customer number has this name from the US. The order was shipped. When was the order date? This was the order date. Which product the customer ordered this product? How many of it? 30 of it. The price of each is this one. The total cost is going to be this multiplied by this. So you can see by using join, you're able to pull data from 4 different tables to be able to generate the order report table. Yeah, so that's basically it. You can order it by the order date and other stuff like that. So we can just go ahead and simply order it by order date. So I can just go here. Sorry, I'm just going to undo that and just go here and say order by. I'm going to say order dot order date, just like that. So I can order it by the date in which the order was placed, right? And that's going to be from the least to the highest, right? In ascending order. So you can see that information right here. Good. So that's basically how we can write a query to generate basically our report based on pulling data from from four different tables, right? Yeah, so that's basically it. So our assignment is just simply to write a query to return the top 10 most paying customers. So you can see the different customer report that we have. So just write a query to return to you which customers had the most paying, right? The top 10 of them. So you just use a limit to limit them to top 10. Again, the solution to this assignment is going to be in the description of the video. Okay, so just make sure that you practice and you are comfortable with how join works in SQL. So that's basically it for this video. If you guys have any questions or suggestions for our upcoming videos, let me know in the comment section below. Again, if you're new to the channel, please kindly consider subscribing, liking this video, and sharing this content with anyone who you think might find it helpful. So again, there is one easy way you can support me just by subscribing, liking the video, or you can even buy me coffee. The links will be in the description of the video. So thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Keep safe.